Hello everybody and welcome back to more Diablo patch 2.3 PTR stuff. We're going to be talking about all of the rift changes to normal rifts and greater rifts. There's a lot of stuff here that got changed that is a lot of quality of life stuff, and stuff that's just going to make the game a lot better, and I really like that. So let's just start off by saying that the normal Nephilim rifts, you no longer need keystones, so you can sell your rift keystones just to a vendor, and it gets you actually quite a bit of money, but you no longer need those, which means they no longer drop from bounties, which also means that as soon as you start a season and you start your new seasonal character, you can go get your Kanai's cube and get that all done like right off the bat, and then you, if you wanted to, without doing any bounties, you could just go start doing normal rifts. I wouldn't suggest doing that because I think the new flow is a little different. We'll talk about that later, but generally you could just start doing rifts, and I like that a lot. Now, in these normal rifts, things were changed as well. The first thing is going to be really nice for a lot of people, which is the fact that the Rift Guardian health pool has been lowered, but the amount of progress you need to get the Rift Guardian to spawn has been increased. Overall, it balances out on time from my testing of it, you know, previous to the wipe on the PTR and then with the current PTR patch that's up. But what that means is people who are running greater rifts, they're no longer going to run into the same issue that we have been, which is you can clear the rift stupidly fast. You can get like a really quick rift clear, but as soon as you get that Rift Guardian to spawn, it's going to take you 10 minutes to kill it. Blizzard realized that's not fun. Players said that that wasn't fun, so what they did is they balanced it out, so the amount of clearing you're doing during the rift will increase, but when you finally get that Rift Guardian to spawn, you'll spend a lot less time on it. It's really, really nice quality of life change. You have no idea how excited I am for that, because it changes the way that you consider how you're about to finish a rift. Previously, you would get to that 10-minute mark, and you'd be like, okay, if I get, you know, one of a few Rift Guardians, I got this in the bag. But then you get to that, you know, a couple minutes later, or maybe just even like 30 seconds later, and you're like, okay, I haven't gotten it to spawn yet, and then it spawns, and it's like, oh, it's not the right Rift Guardian, I'm done, despite the fact that I have 5 minutes left in my rift. That's no fun, especially when you can tell ahead of time, even before you've summoned a Rift Guardian, that there's, no matter what, you won't be able to finish the rift, because you know how long it takes to kill a Rift Guardian in general. This change makes it so that doesn't happen as much. You're gonna be a little more surprised about if you're able to kill a Rift Guardian or not. It's you know, at the higher greater rift difficulties, when you're really pushing the greater rifts, it's gonna be a bit more spontaneous at the end. You're gonna come down to the last minute, and you won't give up so early. It's gonna change the way that the greater rifts feel, and I really, really, really like that. So generally, in the rifts, things have changed where Conduit Pylon is different now. So the duration of Conduit Pylon is to 30 seconds in greater rifts, from 15, which is what it was before, and it felt kind of meh before. In fact, you would get it and you just didn't feel like it was all that... I mean, it was good, don't get me wrong, but you didn't feel powerful with it. Well, they increased it back to 30 seconds, and it deals more damage based on your current level in the greater rift, which is really good, but Conduit also now deals reduced damage to bosses and Rift Guardians, which means that when you get it at the end of when you get to the end of a greater rift, it's not going to determine whether or not you're able to finish that greater rift in time, which I like. I like, you know, Power Pylon is always going to be a thing that's really good to get at the end, and in a lot of situations you're going to want the Power Pylon at the end, or in some rare situations a Shielding Pylon, but you never really wanted to have to get Power Conduit, and that's no longer gonna happen as much because of the fact that it does do reduced damage to Rift Guardians, but you will click it when you see it in the normal greater rifts because it's gonna clear a lot faster. I really like that. That's a really, really good change in my opinion. On that same vein, when you complete a greater rift at the end, you automatically get an upgrade to your gems. So no matter what, if you complete a Greater Rift, you get upgraded gems. Before, you would have to decide whether or not you were going to upgrade your keystone or if you were going to upgrade your gems. Now, as long as you finish the Greater Rift, you're going to upgrade your gems. If you don't finish the Greater Rift, you don't get that option. You don't get the option to upgrade it anymore. And the way that the Greater Rift opens, because again, you don't, in the normal rifts, you don't need the keystones. Well, in the Greater Rifts, you do need keystones, but they've removed the trials. So when you get your keystones to put in, you're no longer having to do the trial rifts to, spend 10, 15 minutes. Like sometimes you would say to yourself, okay, I'm going to run 25 Greater Rifts. Like that's going to be my night tonight. And you would start it up, but those trial rifts that you'd have to do would take about an hour, and it took a lot of time. So they got rid of that. And now whatever Greater Rift you've gotten to as the highest, so say the highest you've gotten to is 54, and you complete that 54, the next one would be 55, which is kind of cool because there's, you no longer have to do that, the Greater Rift trials. But what this means is that, again, as I said at the beginning, the way that the season and the progress of a season is gonna feel is going to change in general. So let's briefly, finish up the Greater Rift, and I'll talk about that, the flow of a season now. So at the end of a Greater Rift, the amount of blood shards that are dropped from Greater Rift 42 plus has been increased by a lot, and I've noticed the difference. It's actually quite a bit, and I really like that. Also, the number of guaranteed legendaries that drop in Greater Rifts starting at tier 50 has been increased, so that's another really, really good change. All in all, just Greater Rifts in general feel a little bit better. They feel less clunky, and I feel like the game is going in a really good direction as far as that is concerned. Now, concerning the flow of everything, I think this is how a general season is going to go. You're going to start your season, you're going to go get your cube, you're going to go to, starting to do bounties, because you're going to want all of the crafting materials for as much as you can get, basically, to carry you through the rest of the season to work with the cube. But every now and again, you may want to change it up a bit and go do a rift. But once you finally hit max level, which should only take, I would say, roughly 4 to 5 hours this, for season 4, which is not bad. It's pretty quick, considering last one on average was about 6 hours. So what's going to happen is when you get to max level, you're probably just going to bust out as many Greater or normal rifts as you can, if you didn't already have Greater Rift fragments. By the way, Greater Rifts are still limited to max level, so you can't do like a Greater Rift at level 20, which I think that's fair. But what will happen is you'll get as many Greater Rift keys as you can, and then you'll just blast through Greater Rifts. You'll do your progress of Greater Rifts. You'll go through one, through how many ever that you can do, because you'll be getting the gems to drop. You'll be getting guaranteed upgrades on those gems. You may not get the gem that you want right off the bat, but you'll be getting guaranteed upgrades as long as you're finishing those rifts, and you'll be slowly increasing your blood shard cap at the same time as increasing the higher Greater Rifts that you can get into. So just generally, that will be like a really good goal at the beginning of a season. And then you'd be like, okay, I've gotten that done. I've used up a lot of my crafting materials. Now it's time to go back into doing some bounties, and the bounties feel a little better now because you're doing like the bonus bounties. You're doing those as they change. It's just like everything in general feels really good, and it was all spurred on by the changes to normal rifts and Greater Rifts, and I really, really freaking love it. I think Season 4 for Diablo 3 is going to be obviously the best season yet, but I think it's also heralding a change to come with a potential expansion. Like, they're really just streamlining everything, and I'm looking forward to what we're going to get. But with all of that being said, I can't wait to do some rifts when Season 4 starts, and we shall see you guys next time.